right, so I'm going to tell you guys about my experiences with histamine intolerance. I've had this condition probably since I was a child. My youngest memories when I was 10, 11 years old, I had all the symptoms that I see people talking about now with histamine intolerance, and I'm 41 now. So I've experienced a lot, and I've also experienced the journey of years and years of trying to work with doctors and therapists and nutritionists and things until I finally figured it out and spent years adjusting my diet and other life behaviors until I've, at this point in my journey, reached a level of stability where I feel pretty healthy, much healthier than I ever have in my life. I still have symptoms, I still have problems, but it's like night and day how much healthier I am now. So I just want to share sort of my life journey, my experiences, what I've learned, the things that helped me, and hopefully I can help some other people. Because the things I'm going to tell you in this video, if I had seen this video myself 20 years ago, it would have saved me decades of pain, personally. And I have to say the necessary things. This is not medical advice. I'm not a doctor. These are my experiences. It may not all apply to you perfectly. This is a very individual condition, and our symptoms are not always the same. The pills that I take, you might react to, etc. All right, so high level, if you think you have histamine intolerance, a lot of people I see in like Facebook and stuff asking what are the typical symptoms they have. I'll just tell you right off the bat, and then I'll get into my kind of journey. So the symptoms that I would get, which I think are pretty typical, are anxiety, in some cases, massive amounts of anxiety, like debilitating, worrying, racing heart, ruminating thoughts, brain fog, like intense brain fog where you're just cloudy and tired, fatigued, a racing heart. I don't know if I said that. Sinus pressure. I would get sinus pressure behind my face and congestion. After eating or while eating, I'd have to blow my nose frequently. Urinating frequently. Bowel issues. Itchiness. For me, I'd get really itchy on my scalp, but other people I know get other places. Flush, red in my cheeks, warm skin, and a general just feeling of kind of discomfort in your own body. Even some disassociative feelings sometimes. I'd get kind of all of that in waves at different times throughout the day. Sometimes it would be manageable, sometimes it would be well, let's say not manageable, debilitating. Okay, so these are the kind of typical symptoms that I would have and that most people have to varying degrees. I also see some people, a lot of people online saying they have hives. Luckily, I never got that, but that's also a common symptom. All right, so I'll start with my earliest memories I can think back to when I was like 10 years old, and even back then, I had these symptoms. I had insomnia, very bad. So night after night after night, I would barely sleep. I would have many nights with what I would call true insomnia. A lot of people, when they say insomnia, they just mean poor sleep, but I mean actual insomnia. So you'd go to bed and then the alarm would wake for school and I hadn't slept for even 1 minute. And I was fully aware that I had not slept for a single minute because I was alert the whole night, just tossing and turning. And I would have this frequently. And of course that affected my whole life because I would go to school and just be like a zombie. I was so freaking exhausted. I remember having a high school job, a summer job, that was a desk job. And I would be so tired that I would go to the bathroom and I wouldn't even go to the bathroom. I would just go in the bathroom and sit. The toilet seat would be shut and I would just sit there in my clothes on the toilet seat and go to sleep. I'd close my eyes and just sleep for like 15 minutes in the bathroom just to recuperate and get like, I'd be so exhausted I would have to do that just to crash and sleep a little bit. I was that messed up. Okay. And this is you know, I don't know when it started, but I can tell you that I was 10, 12, 13, I was like that already. And I would have that frequently. So that was the worst symptom, and that really affected my life in many ways. And just to be clear, now I don't have insomnia at all. I have poor sleep sometimes, but I'm not like that really ever anymore, is the bright side of the story. Okay. So I had, that was like my worst symptom. The other symptom I had that was really bad was just incredible amounts of nasal congestion. I would always, my sinuses would be packed. I'd be blowing my nose just constantly. And there'd be Kleenex and tissues like all over the floor in my bedroom and everywhere. Anywhere I'd stay in a hotel or whatever, there'd be like clean with friends or something. There'd be like Kleenex everywhere. And people were like, oh my God, what's wrong with this guy? And I was like that. To the point that I actually, when I was in college, I got a surgery in my nose. I had my sinuses open. They like drilled the sinuses open, which was very invasive surgery. It took months to recover. Thinking that that was going to solve it, I had my tonsils removed because I had doctors say I had so many sinus issues that that was like making me more prone to sinus infections. So I had my tonsils removed. Who knows if any of that was necessary? If I just changed my diet, maybe I could have avoided all that. I don't know. So that helped a little bit because it helped the flow for like mucus to get through, but it didn't get rid of my problem. And I used to get sinus infections every winter. It's possible that's where I got this condition. I'll never know because I've had it for so long. But a lot of people say they get it after taking antibiotics. And I used to get a lot of sinus infections, and the doctors were very liberal to prescribe antibiotics. And so I took a lot of antibiotics as a kid, and maybe that's what caused this in me. I really don't know. Some people say it's from mold. At this point in my life, I'll never figure it out where it actually started. Doesn't matter anymore. But that's where my journey kind of started. And through my life, through college, I always had those problems. I became an entrepreneur. I've built and sold multiple software companies. I'm a tech guy, which I love doing. I'm just throwing this as an aside because what led me down that path, besides that I'm like creative and like to build and create and stuff, is also that I couldn't hold a normal job because I couldn't sleep. So I was like, I do not want a 9-to-5 job where I have to wake up at 7:30 in the morning and like go to an office that I have to be at 9 a.m. because I will be a wreck. I really was like, I'd prefer to just work till 3 in the morning and put and you know, on my own time, and crash and wake up and just work whenever I felt like it. That led me in like that direction, that, you know, because of all these problems. So anyways, as I got older, the problems didn't get worse. Didn't get better. They got worse. So I started getting other types of problems. I started getting body pain, like massive amounts of body pain. Pain in my neck, especially. Well, I had pain when I was younger. I had pain in my low back, and then it moved upward, and I still got this sometimes, but I used to have it really, really bad. I get pain in my neck, pain in my shoulders, and in my chest, in my armpit, like just all this area. Partly that's from being on a laptop, probably compounding, but I mean, the level of pain that I was experiencing is not normal. Extreme levels of pain. And so I would get massages, honestly, every week. It's expensive, but it's like I had to survive. And I would get a massage basically every week. And the massage would feel, and I would get the most deep tissue massage I could get. I would keep seeing masseuses until I could find someone who was super strong. And they would kind of, I was like the challenge. Like if someone gave me a massage, I felt bad for them because they were going to be like, by the end of the massage, they'd be like, oh, like they were so tired from massaging me because they'd never massaged somebody who was, like I had one masseuse who was a regular masseuse for years, and she was very experienced and very strong. And she told me that I had the most tension in my body of any client she'd ever had. And it's like, where is that even coming from? How are my muscles so insanely inflamed all the time? So I had that compounding on top of insomnia and nasal congestion. Now I had all this body pain. And So I had all that going on. I mean, that's enough to make someone, really miserable. Um, and I basically just felt like crap all the time. And then I also would have the anxiety. So, and looking back on it, now that I'm like a lot healthier, I have a lot of sympathy for myself because I knew there was something wrong with me, but now that I'm like healthy, I realize how messed up I really was because I can compare it. And it's like, no wonder I was such a mess. Um, and the anxiety is maybe the worst part of the whole condition because like when you don't sleep, you feel physically just awful. But then even worse than that is the anxiety of knowing that I'm gonna repeat that the next night. It's like I remember I'd have nights where I didn't sleep, and this is going back when I was young, and my mom, of course, like no one else could really understand what I was going through. My mom would say things like, "Oh well, you didn't sleep last night, so that's great because not that's great, but like the good news is you'll probably sleep well tonight because you're gonna be so tired." It's like no, I'm probably not gonna sleep tonight because what happens is you spiral. So it's like I didn't sleep, so now my symptoms are flared up even 10 times worse. So I'm definitely not gonna sleep. So if I had insomnia one night, I'd get anxiety because I know I'm gonna have it for like 2 more nights. So that was kind of what the rhythm I was in, along with a bunch of other issues that I didn't even realize I had. Like I was always itchy and my skin was warm, and I just thought that's kind of how I was. I didn't connect that I didn't know these were all connected to each other. And even little things like once I started healing, I noticed I don't have to Q-tip all the time. I used to Q-tip, in my ears to get the wax out every day, and there'd be a lot of wax, and I would do that every single day for years. And I just thought that was like me, or maybe that's normal. It's not normal. You shouldn't have to do that, but I did. So as I started healing, I realized I have like still problems or so many. So how did I figure out what's going on? As a kid, I mean, I already told you I had surgeries, but I also like went to a sleep doctor's. I even went to a sleep clinic where they had me sleep there overnight, and they like plugged all these wires to me. If you've seen The Matrix, like when he's in the pod at the beginning of the movie, Keanu Reeves, I looked like that. I was like sleeping in a bed with like wires hooked up to my whole body, and they're monitoring me to see how I sleep. I did that. I went to other sleep therapists to figure out what was wrong with me. And no one could really figure it out. And at some point, I kind of just gave up. Like in my 30s, I was like, this is just how I am. But I did know a few things. I knew that I couldn't drink. I had figured out a long time ago that I couldn't drink red wine. I knew if I drink red wine, my whole face explodes, basically. Like the level of congestion is like, if I drink a glass of red wine, what I was feeling in my body is like what someone else feels when they have COVID. Like really, like when I see the way people describe COVID, that's me with a glass of red wine. It's that bad. So, I had figured that out, and I even had figured out that whenever I drink alcohol, the hangover that I would have was like way worse than anyone else I knew. All night I wouldn't be able to breathe, and I'd have ringing headaches, like so much worse than other people. So I knew that. And at one point, to lose weight, at one point in my life, I had tried the not exactly like the keto diet. Like I had tried for a while, low carb, and doing that, I figured out that when I cut, well, what I had thought was that if I cut carbs out of my life, then that makes my brain fog less. It turns out it's not really carbs so much as it's just bread. But I was kind of on the right track. I had kind of figured out if I cut out bread, and at the time I was cutting out rice and everything, I was like, my brain fog seems to be a lot less. So I'd kind of figured that out. So I had hints of things. I knew there were some food-related things, but I didn't know how far it went. So anyways, advancing the story to more recent years, like maybe, I don't know, 6 years ago or something, at one point, my anxiety was just kind of eating me alive, and I was like, just so worried all the time. And not just worried about I won't sleep tomorrow, like bigger worries. Especially now I'm older, I have kids, and then you start, that generally makes you more worried because now you're not just concerned about yourself, you have kids to worry about. And I started getting like existential dread and just being worried like constantly. So I decided to see a therapist. So I was working with a therapist for maybe a year or so, maybe longer. She was excellent and helped me with a lot. But at some point she was like, I think your symptoms are physical, are not just mental. She's like, it's not normal to have all the body pain you have and all these other problems. So she said, I have a nutritionist that I recommend to some clients. I'm going to recommend you to her, and I want you to see her and see if that helps. So she connected me with a nutritionist. And I'm in the United States. This nutritionist was in the UK. So I would do Zoom calls with her. And when I first engaged with her, I told her all the different symptoms I was having. And she's like, I have an idea of what this might be. She gave me a form, a long document. And she said, I want you to fill all this out and give it back to me. It was really long, just describing all these different symptoms I have. So I filled all that out and I gave it back to her. And then she said, I'm pretty sure that you have histamine intolerance. And I was like, what's that? I've never heard of that. And she told me, and she said, this is what we're going to do. You're going to go on an extremely, extremely strict diet. And it's going to be very difficult. But if it works, it's going to heal you. So what we did, and I'll explain the diet in a moment. She had me go on this very strict diet, and every single meal, I took a photo of the meal, and I wrote down the ingredients of the meal, and I wrote down how I felt before and how I felt after, and I shared it with her. And it was, a lot of work to do that. And I did that with her for about a year. But long story short, within like 3 days of the diet, I felt better than I had felt in like 20 years. And within 2 weeks, I was like crying with joy. I was like, oh my God, I actually figured this out. It was like a miracle had entered my life. Like this woman basically saved my life, or at least saved my sanity. So, and I'll get into what the diet was. So she had me this very strict diet, and then she's like, you're going to stay like this, and a bunch of medicine, supplements. She's like, you're going to stay on this diet and take these supplements until you reach a level of stability. And once you do, we're going to take some of the foods that you weren't allowed to eat, and we're going to reintroduce them one by one. Every week, we're going to take one of the, let's say tomatoes is one of the foods. We're going to take a day, and you're going to eat tomatoes with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And you're going to document how you feel, and the same thing. And then no more tomatoes the next day. The next week, you're going to do another reintroduction. And maybe soy sauce. And then the next week, whatever. And we would do that once a week. And I was feeling so healthy when I would have to do the reintroductions. I was dreading them. I was like, please don't make me eat anything else. Let me just stay on the diet. So, but I would do it. And through that, I learned really what I can handle. And some of the foods that you're not supposed to eat, maybe I actually eat and I'm fine with. Some of the foods I really don't eat very much anymore. So I'm going to go through what the diet was, how I tracked it, the supplements I use, and also how I deal with body pain and anxiety, like my kind of emergency protocol and everything. And I would say that this is kind of a holistic problem also. Food is the number one. If you try to cheat your way around this through just taking pills or something, you're not going to get there. It's like trying to lose weight by only running on the treadmill and still eating McDonald's every meal. Ain't gonna work. The diet is the number one. And with this condition, it's like that. The diet is the number one thing. So that's number one. Like 70% of your gains are going to be from the diet. After that, supplements and also reducing stress in your life, which I'll get to, because stress makes your system go haywire and contributes to symptoms with this problem. Okay. But all right, so the diet, the first off, it's a low histamine diet. So you can look that up online and learn about it. And my experience working with her was so helpful that I actually built an app, because I told you I'm a tech person. So I built an app and started using it myself to track all my meals. The app is called Histamine Tracker. If you're interested, you can download it and you can use that to journal, and it's got a food list in there and stuff. You can also look this up online for foods and other places. It's a very confusing, um, it's a very confusing set of rules you have to adopt to get through this, because there's so many foods that you can't eat. And so what are the foods that you shouldn't eat? So number one is foods that are high in, that just contain a lot of histamine. So histamine is a byproduct of bacteria, therefore anything that's had a lot of bacteria in it has a lot of histamine, probably. So fermented foods, they're fermented, so they have massive amounts of histamine in them. Red wine is probably the worst thing you can consume on planet Earth. Like, if you look up, just Google like how much histamine is in red wine versus white wine. In many cases, it's thousands of times more in red versus white. And white wine's already bad enough, but why is it like that? I mean, it's wine. It's been sitting there fermenting. You know, you can drink wine that's 50 years old, right? Like, it's aged and it's fermented, and it's alcohol, which is itself a DAO blocker. So alcohol on its own is already going to cause a lot of problems, and then when you add fermentation into it, it's like double whammy. Beer also is terrible for you. All alcohol is bad, but if you're gonna drink alcohol, at least drink something that's distilled, like vodka. Will be the worst of, you know, the best of the worst, but it's all bad. If you're in like an elimination phase where you're trying to really cut everything, just don't drink any alcohol at all. Vinegar is super fermented. Can't have vinegar. Soy sauce, extremely fermented. You can have soy sauce like wine. Like, you can have soy sauce that's been fermenting for 5 years. For me personally, the two worst things I can consume after experimenting by far are soy sauce and wine. Vinegar is not, for me at least personally, as bad, but not nowhere near as bad as soy sauce or wine. But they're all pretty bad. They're all fermented. You can't eat anything aged, especially meat, because as it ages, bacteria is on there, and that produces histamine. So you can eat steak if it's fresh. You can't eat aged steak. You also can't eat marinated steak because it's been sitting there marinating, and it's probably been marinating in soy sauce. You can eat fish, but only if it's really fresh fish, and only certain kinds of fish, because some fish build up histamine like really quickly. And then there's a bunch of random foods that you can't eat because they have these problems. So like spinach, can't eat spinach. Strawberries, citrus. Coffee was on the list when I originally started. I drink coffee every morning. I don't drink coffee throughout the day, but I have one coffee every morning, and it doesn't seem to bother me. Eggs don't bother me. Some people don't eat eggs. If you have egg problems, you can try just the yolks, because a lot of people say it's the white that causes the problem. For me, eggs and coffee are both just fine. I don't eat dairy or gluten. I found they both cause problems for me. You might be fine with them, but it's fairly common for people with histamine intolerance to also be gluten intolerant and or dairy intolerant. Why? Because these are all gut issues, and if you have gut problems, there's a decent chance you have other gut problems. So you can try that. If I had no idea I was dairy intolerant until I started, lactose intolerant until I started doing this. And then I found out that when I eat dairy, I mean, it gives me like bowel problems. And when I don't, it goes away. What else? I mean, there's a lot more foods that you can't eat also. So what can you eat? Rice, and again, you need to test this yourself. You need to log it and see what it's like, but this is what's, for me, and also what's pretty common. Rice is okay, as long as you can't eat fried rice. It's got like soy sauce and stuff, but like white rice, okay. If you're gluten free like me, corn products, tortillas, corn chips. Vegetables, broccoli, great. Cauliflower, get used to broccoli and cauliflower. Those are your friends. Salad, as long as it's not spinach, and as long as the dressing, well, most dressings contain vinegar, or some have soy sauce. So even at a restaurant, I just ask them for olive oil. I just use olive oil, salt, and pepper. If you can eat dairy, then that opens up more options. So I eat a lot of steak, a lot of chicken, I ate fish. I ate salmon. A lot of people say that they think salmon's not good. I eat salmon all the time, but only if it's super fresh. Yeah, so I eat a lot of protein, rice, corn products, and vegetables. And then as you go deeper in this, you can find alternatives for things. So I have fake dairy cheese I eat sometimes. I get coconut aminos, it's called, which is coconut aminos are your friend. It tastes very similar to soy sauce, a little sweeter, a little less salty, but it's similar, but made from coconut. And it has some histamine in it, but it's low. So you're not going to find that in a restaurant, but you can cook Asian type foods at home with that. Restaurants, I still go to, chocolate. You can't eat chocolate. The cocoa, the chocolate, the beans are fermented when they make chocolate. Chocolate's bad for you. So it's a very, very strict diet. So, it's intimidating at first, but you don't need to figure it all out. Do the best you can and keep iterating. But if you do have this condition and you do follow the diet, I mean, you will feel so much better that it will be worth it. I promise you, when you feel better, it's self-reinforcing and you'll get used to it. You can't eat processed foods. Like, there's so many unhealthy foods that this cuts out. Like, you basically can't eat anything unhealthy if you're on this diet. It's basically impossible because you can't eat anything processed. It's like, you basically just eat vegetables and fruit and meat. It's like, it will force you to eat healthy, which makes you feel good. Anyways, so it's worth doing, even though it's hard, because it will make you feel so much better. And it will force you to eat healthy. And like anything, you do it at first, it's hard, and then a year goes by, and then 2 years. I've been doing this like 3 or 4 years. I'm just used to it. I go to a restaurant and people are ordering all these things and I can't order them. And I can only order my 1 or 2 things. Everyone's like, "Oh, Mike, I'm sorry, you can't eat that." I'm like, I'm just used to it. It's okay. You get used to it. When you get used to not feeling like crap all the time, you won't care about the food. All right, supplements. I have to say again, I am not telling you to take these supplements. This is what I take, okay? So I'm gonna go through this stuff. Let me come down the ground here. Okay, I take a lot of them. So, let's see. Ashwagandha, I take at night. This is not related to histamine, it's just, it relaxes you. Relaxes the mind. Again, histamine causes anxiety, so take ashwagandha every night. This brand, Pure, I buy a lot of stuff from Pure because the pills are, I think the capsules are gluten-free and they're on Amazon. So you can actually pre-order them. Ashwagandha, I have magnesium. I take 2 of these every night. Magnesium helps relax your muscles for inflammation. So I take that every night. Along with that, this is Epsom salt. You can buy this on Amazon. You can also buy it at a pharmacy. You have to go in like the foot aisle, foot care, because a lot of people, the typical use for this is a foot soak. I don't do that. I just fill up the bath and I put like a whole cup of this. Not like a measuring cup, like a red cup, this red Solo cup, like that kind of thing, like a whole cup of Epsom salt with water. If I'm having a flare up, if my muscles are hurting and I'm going crazy, if I take a Epsom salt bath, it cuts it in half and I don't have to sit in the bath for an hour. I mean, I can be there for 5 minutes and it will cut my symptoms like in half, like that fast. Very helpful. Personally, I make the bath scalding hot and then I drip in cold water until I can barely tolerate getting in. I like it like crazy hot. And for me, that works. Although a lot of people I've seen online say that they don't like hot water or heat, that it inflames, it adds to their symptoms. So experiment. If that's you, then don't take my advice. Take a lukewarm bath. But for me, I go super hot and that helps. Epsom salt is related to magnesium. Epsom salt, you can see there, it says magnesium sulfate. Epsom salt is full of magnesium. And so magnesium's like seeping into your muscles when you take the bath, which is why it works. And then you can also take a magnesium pill, which I take every night. Next, what do I got here? This says ascorbic acid. Basically, it's vitamin C. I take a vitamin C every day. Makes you less likely to get sick, but it also, vitamin C and quercetin and nettles, those two things really help with histamine intolerance. So if you're having like flare-ups and stuff, like if you take vitamin C and quercetin, it will help reduce it, or at least it does for me and for a lot of other people. So I'd recommend those two. I take that every day. What is this? Generic Zyrtec. I take Zyrtec every night before bed. Antihistamine, obviously that's self-evident with why you would want an antihistamine when you have histamine intolerance. This is not going to solve all your problems. Don't think if you take an antihistamine you're good. This will solve like 5% of your problem. It's a band-aid, right? If you're eating high histamine food all day and then you take this antihistamine, you're not fine. It's like, this helps me even when I'm eating super strict low histamine. It just helps a little bit, but it does help some. I take it at night. Why? Because it's slightly, most antihistamines are sedating a little bit, and they last 24 hours. I take one a day, so you might as well take it at night. This one is fluticasone nasal spray. I take this in the morning, and it just helps me breathe a little bit. It's nice because it's not addictive and it's not strong. It's not like Flonase where you can only take it a few days or you like destroy your nose. I just take this every morning, 2 sprays in each nose. Helps me breathe a little bit. This is vitamin B. I think vitamin B12. I just started taking that recently. This one is a lot of people take this, and I take it Probiota Histamine X. You can buy on Amazon from Seeking Health. Histamine X. This is a probiotic that is histamine friendly, helps with your gut problems. And then I have NAC. This is also not truly histamine related, but you can look this up on your own. If you take NAC every day, it will make you a lot less likely to get sick. So I take that every day, and I don't get sick anymore. I used to get sick constantly. I mean, I tell you, I get sinus infections like 2 a winter. Every time I get a cold, it would be, us comparing to COVID, it'd be like I have COVID every time I get a cold. It would be like what other people experience with COVID, that bad. And I don't get sick anymore. I don't say it's just because of NAC. I think it's because of NAC and all the other vitamins I take and all the healthy food I eat. I don't ever get sick. It's kind of amazing, the reversal. Those are the main things I take. Oh, and then the last one is DAO. I don't want to forget that. This is a brand I get, Natured DAO. You can get this on Amazon. Again, DAO is the chemical, the enzyme that is missing in your body or is in low production, and it's what breaks down histamine. So the way this works, you take the pill before you eat, at least 5 minutes. I usually take 10-15 minutes before. And then that pill is in your intestines, and then when you eat the food, you already have the enzyme in there, and it helps break it down. This will not solve all your problems, but it will help. Early on, you could take it every meal. They're kind of expensive, so I don't take it every meal anymore. I just take it when I go to a restaurant. So if I'm going to a restaurant, like when I sit down, I take one of these, and then, by the time I order and get the food, it's 10 minutes already passed, and that helps. And if I'm gonna, I'll be honest, I still drink alcohol, not a lot, but every so often, just every so often. And I only drink like a vodka drink, like a High Noon or something like that, something clean. If I'm gonna drink alcohol, since it's so bad for you, I take 3 of these. And I still get symptoms. Even after being like pretty healed and taking 3 of these, I still get symptoms. That's how bad alcohol is. But I'll still, I can't go my whole life without ever drinking. If it's the summer and like my friend's having a pool party and we're all hanging out, sometimes you just want to have a drink. It's like, you gotta like let loose sometimes. So I'll do it sometimes, and I deal with the symptom. I deal with the repercussion, but it's not like the old days where it would like destroy me. It's just, I probably won't sleep as well that night, and I'll probably be on the toilet the next morning, but it's not the end of the world. So I take 3 of these before that, but a regular meal, I'll take 1 of these. That's basically the pills I take. And then for dealing with body pain, this is what works for me. I have a lot of like foam rolling type equipment. So I have lacrosse ball, I'll lay on my back and like put this behind my shoulder, behind my glutes, and just roll on it and break down the muscle tissue. Another foam roller I put between my shoulder blades. The big boy, I'll roll out my thighs because I get a lot of muscle pain. So I do that, and massage gun. I can't live without this. It's the number one. This is my best friend right here. My massage gun all time. And then I have this thing I started a couple years ago. It really helps. This is called, if you look on Amazon and look for like scraping kit, you can get one of these. And you basically take this and you put some, for me it's my shoulder. So I put some lotion on my shoulder. It looks weird, but I take this and you just like rub, and it's like the equivalent of foam rolling for your neck. And I rub and break down the muscles. Helps so much. So these, for a while, I was in so much pain, I would be doing this all the time. I would stretch for like an hour every night, like really an hour or more. I would just be on the ground watching all those YouTube videos and stretching every single night and foam rolling and get a massage once a week. And that's how I survived. Now I've healed so much that I don't necessarily need all this stuff all the time. I still use the massage gun quite a bit, and I still foam roll my thighs, but it's kind of just supplemental. It's not like I depend on it, but I have it all. So that's helped me. Which leads to what I was saying before, that stress is related to this. So I go for walks. I see a lot of people online saying like maybe meditating would help, but then they say when they meditate, it doesn't help because their mind is just ruminating. So I found, I like meditating actually. I've tried it and done it a lot of times since I was maybe in my 20s. But the problem is that when you have this condition, the ruminating thoughts in your mind are not like other people. They're not caused in your mind. They're caused from your body. They are just a symptom of your body. So what I found is I focus on if I think I'm going crazy or my mind is like floating and all stuff, I don't try to meditate. I focus on my body. And I know that if I fix my body, the mind will follow. It will chill out. So what does that mean besides everything I've talked about already? I go for walks. If I'm feeling messed up, I go outside and I go walk for an hour. Fresh air, nature, movement, chills the body out and the mind follows. I highly recommend that. It's amazing if you walk an hour a day, it's amazing what that will do for you. Yoga. I belong to a gym that has awesome yoga classes every day. I go do yoga, and not like crazy intense yoga. They have like evening yoga classes that are, they call it yin yoga, where you hold a position for like 3 minutes at a time, like very mellow on the ground. I do that and I just stretch. I found, for me at least, yoga is actually more beneficial than a massage even. Just stretching the muscles out, that helps to loosen up all the inflammation and it relaxes the whole system. Anything you can do to reduce stress in your life generally is good. Journaling, I journal it pretty often. So journaling, walks, yoga, Epsom salt baths, plus all the food. I do all that, and my app, I use my app every day. I go in there and I track what I'm eating, and it helps me remind me like which things are helping and hurting, stuff like that, to keep me on track. I do all that stuff together, and it works. It works. I hope this video is helpful to people, because again, I guess I'm running along here 45 minutes. If I had watched this video 20 years ago, it would have saved me from so much pain, all the stuff I learned. So, but you have to put in the work. And your symptoms may or may not be histamine intolerance, of course. You might try all the diet and might do nothing. It could be something else. But for a lot of people it is. And it's hard to figure it out because of all the different things, and because most doctors seem to not know about it. Most people in the world don't know about it. If you tell someone you're allergic to soy sauce, they're like, I've never heard of that. So you don't have a lot of people who understand it. What else can I say? The last thing I'll say, if you're watching this, there's a good chance you're a female. For some reason, the vast majority of people with this problem are female. I'm in some Facebook groups since like almost everyone's a woman. And I've read online that they say like 80% of people with this condition are female. I don't know why. It's obviously it's hormonal based for causing that, but men get it too. So I've had this for a long time. That's it. That's all I got to say. I hope you find this useful. I hope it helps you. And good luck on your journey. Thanks.